Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emily, and I'm a music therapist at Notable Music Therapy Services here in Reno, Nevada. I'd like to welcome you to our Exploring Music 2 video group. I'm so excited to be able to be with you on YouTube here today so we can keep the music going and stay connected during this time of isolation. You're so important to us, and I'm so happy to be here with you. We're going to get groups started with our hello song. I hope you sing along with me at home. Here we go. Hello, hola, konnichiwa, bonjour, guten tag, and hi. Ciao, hola to everyone. How's your day? Feel free to email me at emily@nmtsreno.org or comment on the video to let me know how you're doing today. I really miss seeing all of you each week, but I'm glad that we can stay connected this way. Alright, everybody. So, last week I had a request to learn about a specific type of music called techno. So, we are going to put on our DJ hats today and learn about techno music. So, the first thing to know about techno is that it's an electronic dance music form with a very repetitive beat. It's usually used in a continuous DJ set, so there would be DJs up on the stage making different pieces of music spliced together. The tempo is usually between 120 and 150 beats per minute, so that's something pretty quick. It's kind of some fast dance music, alright? Techno music uses electronic instruments like drum machines, sequencers, and synthesizers. We're going to see a couple of examples of those instruments later. The term techno started in Germany, actually, in the 1980s, but it was established to describe a specific genre of electronic dance music that was produced in Detroit in the 80s. This music came from melding genres of synth pop with house music, electro music, and funk. You'll also notice that there are some futuristic and science fiction themes in some of the music that we'll see. So again, it started kind of in the 1980s, and it's going on today still at large concert festivals that you can still attend from time to time. Alright, let's take a listen. The first drum machines ever made was the TR-808 by the Roland Corporation in Japan. It was sold from 1980 to 1983, and it was actually a pretty big commercial failure. It didn't go over very well initially, but then once people started to understand how cool it was, they started to make their own beats on this drum machine. So let's hear how the first drum machine ever created sounds. So as you can hear, there is some pretty standard drum beat sounds coming from that instrument. Pretty retro. So that drum machine was actually used to make a very famous song called Planet Rock by the band Afrika Bambaataa. So let's hear how that instrument sounds in an actual song. Alright, so there's an example of an early drum machine. Next, another instrument that is often used in techno music is called a synthesizer. So a synthesizer is an electronic musical instrument controlled by sequencers. So we'll learn about sequencers in a little bit. Sequencers are computer programs that can arrange electronic music sounds, but the synthesizer itself is an instrument. So the first mass-produced synthesizer ever was the Yamaha DX7, another kind of standard instrument. It was launched in 1983. So let's hear a bit of a demo of the first mass-produced synthesizer.
Here's where it all started. Let's listen to how it sounds. So here's a classic string sound from the DX7. And the great thing about the DX7 is you could change the algorithm straight away and come up with a completely different sound. For example, if I go to my algorithm right here and try and change it, see how many different variations I can have. So basically what I'm doing right now is I'm just changing the algorithm. You can see all the configurations right here. They're printed right there. And, you know, it wasn't the easiest synth to program, but you could get so many interesting sounds out of it. Let's try something else. Very fluid sound. So this is more like a brass section, I guess. Let's try something else. All right, so this one has an LFO program on the modulation wheel. And you can hear the operators interacting with each other. The harder you drive them, the harder, the harsher the sound is.
All right, so I heard some pretty classic techno sounds coming from that synthesizer. You'll maybe have heard the futuristic or sci-fi themes that we were sort of talking about earlier. All right, so earlier in the video, you heard me talk a little bit about Detroit, which was the home of techno. That was kind of where it all first started in the 80s. So the important people that were involved in starting techno music were called the Belleville Three. So these guys' names are Juan Atkins, Derek May, and Kevin Saunders. They were the first three people to really come up with what we know of as techno in Belleville, Michigan, which was outside of Detroit. So here's what they look like. I'll include links to all of these videos and articles in the description of this video as well. So these guys, the Belleville Three, were influenced by a band from Japan called the Yellow Magic Orchestra. So let's hear a little bit of the music that came as a precursor to techno in Detroit. is really interesting. You could really hear the synthesized instruments inside that example. So let's take a look at the Belleville Three, Kevin Saunderson, Derek May, and Juan Atkins at a techno festival in 2010. So these guys are still creating music today, and they're all playing together here. So let's hear what they sound like in the modern day. So you can hear that upbeat tempo with the dance sort of theme. That's what makes techno music. So earlier you heard me mention sequencers. So sequencers are, well, one version of a sequencer is called a digital audio workstation, or a DAW, D-A-W. And GarageBand is actually a pretty good example of these systems. So I've created a little bit of an example of how you can use these systems. So this came for free on my laptop, but you can also buy programs like this online. So today I just chose a few sounds to listen to put together into a new techno song. So the first sound I put in this song was called Dance Floor Lights Bass. So this is a little bit of a throwback to music from maybe the 70s or 80s. So let's hear what the bass part sounds like. Alright, so that is our bass loop. You'll see that each bar going across the screen represents a different instrument, right? So that is our bass sound. Let's take a listen to the drum sound that I chose today. Sounds a little techno with that high tempo and dance kind of feel. So those sounds sound a little bit vintage. So let's add something more modern to this track. This is called the dub deep sub bass. Okay, so we've got another kind of synthesized bass sound. Since we're talking about the history of techno, I also wanted to put in something that represented the 80s a little bit. So this track is called 80s Dance Bass Synth. So we talked earlier about synthesizer instruments, which look like a keyboard that plugs into a computer. So this sound kind of comes from that inspiration. Alright, then the last couple sounds I have are more layered synth sounds. So let's listen to this one. And one more synth. Oops, let's turn that one off. Okay, so we have all of these sounds layered together in this track to create a techno song. All of these different instruments have a really important part to play in this song. you'll notice that when the cursor goes across the screen like this, it's listening to all the different instruments that are touching it at the time. So let's take a listen to how all of these instruments layer together to create a new song within this sequencer program, GarageBand. So there is a fresh track created just for you today off of GarageBand. All of these songs came from Apple Loops, or all of these different sounds came from loops. So you can search by instrument, genre, or a descriptor to get all of these different sounds today. Let's move on. I'm so glad you are here to learn about techno music with me today. I had so much fun learning about that with you. Now I would like to move on and do a little bit of music and relaxation with you. Music is a really useful tool to be able to help relax your mind and your body. So let's try some of that today. I'm just going to lead you through a mindfulness meditation. So we're going to start this meditation with some deep breaths together. Deep breathing can help regulate your body and your mind to feel more grounded and more relaxed. So, listen to the guitar for just a moment. We're going to match some breathing with the guitar. Let's try. Breathe in and out. In, out. 3 more. In, out. In, out. Last one together. In and out. Beautiful. We'll keep your breathing smooth and deep and full as we continue our music and mindfulness. Breathing slowly and fully, letting the oxygen from your breath make your brain feel a little bit more relaxed. Thank you. Bring your attention to your forehead. If you feel that your eyebrows are squeezing together, let it relax. Bring your attention to your jaw. If your tongue is stuck to the roof of your mouth, let it relax. I know that I hold a lot of tension in my jaw during the day, clenching my teeth together. So let's try and let that hang loose. Bring your attention to your shoulders. If your shoulders are squeezed up by your ears, let them fall heavy down your back. Beautiful. Keeping your breathing slow and soft. Bring your attention to your belly. Bring your attention to your arms, your hands, and each of your fingers. If you feel like you have any areas in those areas that are being clenched, let it relax. Very nice. Bring your attention to your back, your bottom seated on a chair or sofa or wherever you are right now. Your legs, your knees, your calves, your feet. If any of those areas are clenched or tight, use your smooth breath to release. Very nice. If your toes are curled up in your shoes or socks, let your toes feel relaxed. Listen to your body from your head to your toes, all the way through. If there are any last spots in your body that feel tight or clenched, let's let them release. Very nice. We're going to end this part of group with a few more deep breaths together. Get ready to breathe in with me. And breathe in. And out. In. And out. And in. And out. In. And out. Last one. In. And out. Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me today. I had so much fun learning about the genre techno and switching gears to finish it out with a little bit of guided relaxation and mindfulness today. Remember that music is a powerful tool that you can use every day on your own, even when you're not watching a video with me. You can use music to relax, to help yourself feel pumped up and excited, to feel connected to others, and so on. If you have any questions about how you can use music at home, or how you can connect with us with other videos, feel free to email me. lastly, I just wanted to say, if you feel like you'd like to support us here at the Notables or keep the music going at this time of isolation, please consider donating. There's a button below this video that you can click to make a donation to us. Even $5 makes such a difference to us here. Okay, so again, if you have a country or a genre of music that you'd like to learn about next week, like maybe music from Brazil, music from China, music from South Africa, anywhere like that, anywhere you'd like to learn about, please tell me. You can comment on the video or again, email me at emily@nmtsreno.org. So, let's finish out today's group with our goodbye song. I hope you all have an amazing week. Here we go. Adios to my amigos, arigato to my friends. I'll see you later, alligator. So long until next Thursday. Peace out. Until next time, folks, take care.